Tyon Grant-Foster has entered the portal after 2 seasons with Grand Canyon. Um, he's got to be 26 years old playing basketball in college next year. Dion. He started playing JUCO at Indian Hills in 2018.
Where is in Indian Hills is in California, right?
I do not know,
I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna Google it. Hopefully,
Google
I'm
it,
right. Been really bad at the
but
geography.
Grant Foster's health has been well
That's tough.
documented. Had the heart issue, caused him to lose 2 years. But he's somebody who's a very productive wing with great size, good ability to handle the ball. His first year back with Grand Canyon 2 years ago was phenomenal. He averaged over 20 per game. This past year, it dropped to about 15, but kept around 6 boards, 2.1 assists per game as well. His efficiency went down. There were some things with Grand Canyon overall as a team last year that just was not as good as expected to be. Looking for a fresh start somewhere, but he's somebody who's got a ton of talent. And again, started his D1 career at Kansas. You know the pedigree is there. How are you looking at him in the portal? Because there's a lot of upside to look at, and there's some potential drawbacks too that could scare teams away.
I just want to say that when I said that stuff, I wasn't talking about his injuries. I found out that Indian Hills is in Iowa, as you were saying that. So that was tough. Nowhere near California. I like Tyon. I like Tyon's game. I don't think he lacks confidence at all, which I think is important, especially when you're 26, playing college basketball, right? Like he's going to go to a team to be this is this sounds crazy, but he's going to be a veteran leader on the team.
Yep.
And I can't believe I'm saying that about a college athlete, but like that's kind of where we are with the state of college basketball, right? And I think what that entails is having the confidence to build up other players in any way. And maybe in that way is him being the 20 point per game scorer he was on the 23-24 Grand Canyon team. It might be him being an energizer bunny off the bench where he is able to just come in and kind of be like the Kirk Kriisa to Kentucky this year prior to the injury, of course. Um, it's going to vary, but what you see when you watch him play is he has no lack of confidence at all.
Mm-hmm. His his story is an interesting one. Obviously, he had the heart issue, caused him to miss 2 seasons. Played like a handful of minutes for DePaul before the heart issue came up. The fact that like he's able to play again is a phenomenal story. We talked about that last year. He's 6'7", 220 pounds, handle the ball, do a number like from a skill set standpoint, can do a lot of different things. Are you getting the guy who averaged 20 per game on 45% shooting, decent 3-point shooting 2 years ago, who could grab rebounds, do a little bit of playmaking, led Grand Canyon to the second round of the NCAA tournament? Or are you getting the guy who shot below 40% from the field this past season, got benched for 9 games coming off the bench, and was not as effective? Which guy are you getting? Because like that, I think is something that schools gonna have to navigate because he's likely going to go Power Five. He's on the Power Five radar, given his experience, given his skill set, given his size, given what he showed 2 years ago. But he was inconsistent enough this past season for Grand Canyon to say, no, we're okay for right now.
Yeah, I think
We interrupt this sleepers video to talk directly to you, our loyal listener. Have you ever found yourself watching us two idiots thinking, hey, I wish there was a very easy, small way for me to show a token of my appreciation for all of their hard work on all these videos I love to watch? Well, now we have just the way to do that.
Thanks to the beautiful folks over at Underdog Fantasy. They are helping us out this month, presenting a lot of the content coming out this month, giving you a chance with a amazing offer that you can use using our promo code that Gregory will tell you more about.
Yeah, so college hoop season's over, but we got like big time golf tournaments. The NBA playoffs are coming. Baseball season's underway. There's still a bunch of sports on. There's still a bunch of ways to play with Underdog Fantasy. Promo code SLEEPERS. As a new customer, you can get up to 1,000 bonus credits plus a free pick. It's one of the most fun ways to play. It's a great way to support us. And on some actual like non-ad read stuff, talking genuinely here, really helps us, because if Underdog loves us, if we get a lot of people to sign up, they're going to help us continue to bring you the content that you love. Show your support. Join Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code SLEEPERS. Get up to $1,000 in bonus credits and a free pick.
I think it comes down to the coach. I gotta be honest. Like if he goes to like a Bill Self team, I think you get closer to this year. And I think ultimately he winds up getting benched, and I think he winds up in Bill Self's doghouse. Obviously, he started his career at Kansas. I think it's probably unlikely they have a reunion. But that's what I mean. I think it kind of comes down to the coach. I think if he goes like Will Wade's NC State, maybe you get a little bit closer to the 20 point per game guy because you'll have a little bit more freedom. But I do believe it's going to come down to the coach and the system, because he goes off confidence. And even when you say like the 44% on the 20% on the 20 point per game year, the 33% from three, that's a confident high volume guy.
Right.
He needs to be able to be high volume to give you that. And he needs to have confidence to do so. So if you put him on a team that kind of takes away from that confidence, I think you kind of get the guy this year. And that's where you kind of hope he develops into being like a vet for these guys a little bit, and is able to kind of like help them grow within the game as well.
If you want the sell, I think it's that Grand Canyon this past year seemed to go through. I don't have any inside information. I don't know any like inner workings of the locker room, but seemed to go through a lot of the things that FAU went through last year, where you had a successful season. You had a lot of really good players, and that's the sell. And that's also why you made the second round of the NCAA tournament, why you won Grand Canyon's first ever game in March Madness. Then all those guys come back expecting more, both in terms of their role, both in terms of what Grand Canyon accomplishes, also in terms of probably the amount they got paid. And everything was kind of stagnant. And Grand Canyon took a step back, and a lot of those guys took setbacks as well. It's very similar. Obviously, Grand Canyon did not make the Final Four as FAU did, but that FAU team made the Final Four, chose to ran it back. Things did not click or go nearly as well. Then all those guys transferred out, and all of them were phenomenal where they transferred out to. And so if you want the sell, that's the sell. Is him getting, transferred out of there, gets out of that just kind of dealing with expectations situation. Then I think there's a good chance for success and get back to the level he was playing at 2 years ago. So again, I think there's a really good player in there, but he's somebody who has to probably go somewhere where he's going to be allowed to be ball dominant and be allowed to play with some freedom, the same way that you talked about. I think he's more of a point guard than a spot up shooter. Obviously, he's not somebody who you're going to rely on to knock down threes. He's a 28% career 3-point shooter, but he's going to have the ball in his hands and be in a role where he's able to do some of that. And I think that may limit some of the potential options for him.
Yeah, I agree. What schools do you think fits? Because I think he's one of the more polarizing players, where you could be getting in the portal. You could be getting a guy that like could lead you to the tournament. You could be getting a guy that has like no real role on your team. Like, what are some schools that fits what he's looking for to you?
I think it's very easy to see him at a number of these schools that made coaching changes that need to fill rosters, right? You brought up NC State, Will Wade, then that makes sense. I think Miami makes sense. Neither of those schools have a lot of wings right now. I think culturally he might be a weird fit at Indiana, but Indiana's also the team that kind of needs some guys like that. He was linked to Michigan State at one point coming out of high school, and obviously Izzo's still there, and the amount of defections that have come out of East Lansing, there may be a role needed there. But I look at some of these schools that had coaching changes that need to fill a spot on the roster, and I think he'd fit well there. He's got he has not shown the on-court toughness of RJ Lewis. But I think if you could put him in if he bought into a like the Rick Pitino mentality, I could see him being a good role guy at St. John's with his length, again, ability to handle the ball. They don't care about shooting, it seems, at St. John's. So if he buys into that, and obviously we know he's a tough human being given the heart deal. If he buys into that, I could see St. John's kind of working out too. But again, and this goes back to the thing we talk about a lot with the portal. It goes back to what you want.
Right.
It goes back to what you want to be. And given his age, it may make sense to just cash in on a huge payday and see what the NBA or professional ranks have to offer. Or are you still trying to go somewhere, trying to, get drafted at a certain point? I think it kind of depends.
Yeah, I think it incredibly depends. I think a lot of this comes down to him. I think a lot of it comes down to the coach. It's one of the more portalizing portals I think we have.
Mhm.
And I'm very curious to see how it plays out. But if I were him, I think I go lower power five, like an Xavier, to be honest. I think I go to like an Xavier, Providence, type of thing.
Him at either one of those spots would be good. Him and a Richard Pitino system too would be nice at Xavier.
Yeah, and I think if he goes too high of a power five, I think he winds up playing himself out the rotation. And if I'm being honest, I don't think that's what he wants.
No, I'm with you there. It'll be interesting to see. Because again, I think if you are any school, you can talk yourself into him. But I also think if you're any school, you talk yourself out of him. Be interesting to follow, which we will do, obviously here on the channel. So make sure you like and subscribe.